Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we're looking at a concept that completely flips the script on how we view creativity. You know the trope we've all been sold, right? The romanticized, passive dreamer in a beret, staring out a rain-streaked window, drinking black coffee, and just waiting for the lightning bolt of inspiration to strike. We're taught that art is this spontaneous eruption of genius. But the source text we're breaking down today, titled The Architect of Artistry, Mastering Creative Discipline, completely shatters that myth. It looks at the actual process of prolific creators and frames the artist not as some helpless vessel for inspiration, but as an active, deliberate, and highly structured builder. Okay, let's dive into this. Is artistry born or is it built? I mean, that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Is it something innate, literally woven into your DNA, or is it something meticulously constructed, brick by brick? So many of us get totally paralyzed because we think creativity relies entirely on fleeting inspiration. We've all been there, right? Staring at a blank document, watching that cursor blink rhythmically while it silently mocks us, just waiting to feel creative before we type a single word. Or staring at a blank canvas and eventually giving up to scroll TikTok for 2 hours because the muse didn't show up. But what if that's entirely the wrong approach? What if creating isn't about magic at all, but about mechanics? So here is our roadmap for today. First, the architect of artistry. Second, building technique mastery. Third, cultivating creative focus. Fourth, the consistency of practice. And finally, synthesizing artistic discipline.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the Architect of Artistry, the Core Blueprint.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the text takes the immense, honestly sometimes overwhelming weight of artistic discipline and distills it down into exactly 3 potent elements. It cuts right through all the noise, the endless self-help books, and the pretension of the art world to give us a straightforward, actionable formula. You know, the art world loves to shroud the creative process in mystery because it feels more romantic that way. But this text, it strips away the smoke and mirrors completely. Technique mastery, creative focus, consistent practice. That is literally the entire blueprint in a single sentence. The text argues that if you master these 3 things, the art will inevitably follow.
To really grasp this, we need to ground our central metaphor. Think about what a real-world architect actually does. They don't just close their eyes, sketch a cloud, and hope a skyscraper magically pops up on a city block, right? No way. They design, they guide, they calculate load-bearing walls, assess soil conditions, and map out electrical grids. In the realm of artistry, becoming an architect means you are the one building your creative process through structured, disciplined effort. Think of a master filmmaker like Alfred Hitchcock, who meticulously storyboarded every single camera angle before he ever even stepped onto a set. Or a novelist who spends months outlining character arcs and plot beats before writing chapter 1. You're taking absolute ownership of the construction, and you're leaving nothing to chance.
Let's move right into the Section 2, building technique mastery, the physical foundation. This brings us entirely into the mechanics of your art. Technique. Just let that word settle for a second. It's a heavy, substantial, almost blue-collar kind of word. Technique isn't about expression or profound emotion, at least not yet. It is the raw, essential, and, let's be honest, often tedious mastery of your chosen tools. Whether your tool is a paintbrush, a camera, or a keyboard, technique is your physical ability to manipulate that tool exactly how you intend to. The source text really emphasizes that this is gritty work. It's playing scales over and over until your fingers ache. It's the blistered fingertips on a guitar fretboard. It is the concrete slab that your entire artistic house is built on. Without it, your grandest, most beautiful visions will just collapse under their own weight because you simply lack the physical vocabulary to bring them into the real world. So on one side, you have the mythical, struggling artist. They're staring at a blank canvas, totally paralyzed, filled with angst, just waiting for the muse to magically appear and bless them with a masterpiece. That's a position of utter weakness and surrender. But on the other side, you have the working architect. They aren't waiting around. They are actively building their mechanical foundation. By focusing on technique mastery, you bypass the need for inspiration entirely. You show up and you lay the bricks, whether you feel motivated or not. Actually, scratch that. You show up especially when you aren't motivated, because you have the physical capability to do so. There's a real, deep satisfaction in this approach. You don't need to be struck by lightning to paint a straight line or write a grammatically correct sentence. You just need to do the work. Which leads us perfectly to Section 3, cultivating creative focus, the mental architecture. Now, we shift our narrative focus from physical execution to the internal, mental space required to actually create.
Focus. We live in an era of unprecedented distraction. With endless scrolling feeds, push notifications, and the rapid context switching of modern life, our attention is constantly being hijacked. So focus is arguably the rarest and most valuable commodity an artist possesses today. If technique is the physical foundation, focus is the mental architecture. The source text talks about how crucial it is to literally erect walls in your mind. This means turning off the Wi-Fi, putting the phone in another room, and actively blocking out the noise, the self-doubt, and the external demands. It's the deliberate channeling of all that technique you've just mastered into a single laser-sharp point of creation.
And this brilliantly illustrates how the physical action of technique and the mental state of focus are not isolated variables. They complement each other perfectly. Think of technique as the strong, immovable foundation of a building, and focus as the precise framing erected right on top of it. You need both to have a house. Let's look at a grounded example. Imagine a virtuoso guitarist who can play the most complex solos imaginable. They've got incredible technique, right? But they lack focus, so they never actually finish writing a song or record an album. On the flip side, imagine someone with boundless focus and dedication who locks themselves in a studio for weeks, but they haven't bothered to learn how to play 3 basic chords on the guitar. In both cases, the art fails. You need the action and the state of mind working in perfect tandem.
Let's jump into section 4, the consistency of practice, building over time.
We have our foundation, we have our framing, but now we introduce the crucial temporal element necessary to complete the blueprint: practice. It's a simple word, but man, it contains an entire universe of friction and effort, time, repetition, and unwavering consistency. These act as the mortar holding the entire artistic structure together. The text doesn't just say practice, it explicitly calls for consistent practice. And the unglamorous reality of that is showing up on a rainy Tuesday when you're tired, uninspired, and would literally rather be anywhere else. Doing something brilliantly once, that's a fluke. Doing it 1,000 times, that is discipline. Let's picture a hypothetical creator moving through this timeline. On day 1, the frustration is immense. They're struggling just to hold the tool correctly, fighting against their own clumsy hands. That's the raw beginning of technique. By week 1, they've had a minor breakthrough. They're finally learning how to sit still in a chair for an hour without checking their phone. They're finding their focus. By month 1, the grueling repetition is slowly becoming an ingrained habit, the friction is dropping, and they're establishing their practice. And then by year 1, something really profound happens. The struggle falls away. That consistent practice over a long period transforms their raw, daily effort into true artistic discipline. The structure they've built is finally standing strong entirely on its own. Let's move to section 5 and see how this builds into synthesizing artistic discipline, the completed structure.
So the crucial point is, when we visually stack these 3 pillars, technique mastery, creative focus, and consistent practice, we fully pay off that architect metaphor. We see the assembled blueprint in all its glory. Artistic discipline isn't some mysterious aura granted by the universe. It's the sum total of these 3 deliberate, structured choices. Relying on inspiration is an absolute gamble. I mean, the muse is a terrible business partner who rarely shows up for meetings. But relying on this 3-step architecture is a guarantee. When you master your physical tools, fiercely protect your mental space, and show up relentlessly over time, you aren't just crossing your fingers and hoping to make art. You are engineering it. Which leaves us with a critical look in the mirror. I want you to honestly ask yourself right now, which of these 3 pillars are you currently neglecting in your own artistic architecture? Are you relying entirely on raw talent but ignoring consistent practice? Do you have the technique down perfectly but completely lack the creative focus to execute a finished piece? Identify your weak beam, reinforce it, and start building. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep laying those bricks, protect your focus, and go out there and be the architect of your own artistry. See you next time.